happy to have you watching. Today we have James Van Praagh and Danielle MackKinnon talking about the new upcoming course, Spiritual Animal Friends. This course, we've had it before, but we're putting a whole new spin on it, where we're providing lots and lots of video content from animal experts, in addition to 4 live meetings with James and Danielle. Those calls are going to be there'll be 4 calls, 2 hours each, every 2 weeks: Tuesday, November 7th, Thursday, November 9th, Tuesday, November 14th, and Thursday, November 16th. And on those calls, we'll be covering all kinds of topics. But what we wanted to do today is have James and Danielle just answer some questions that students have given us over, the course of the years, questions you all have about animals, communicating with your pets, and what the course is all about. So let's go ahead and start. I can throw out a question and you guys can jump in and answer. So let's start with a topic near and dear to James's heart, which is, do animals have souls? James,
Oh,
over to
yes,
you.
that's a great one. Thanks, Liz. Thank you. And Danielle, I see you there. And everybody else, welcome to watching this. Do animals have souls? A question which is asked quite often, and the answer, and I've heard different people say things over the years, but I know without a doubt they have souls. They definitely have souls. They have the life force. They go to heaven. There was once a belief that, dogs don't go to heaven or animals don't go to heaven. Like, what is that about? It's so human of us. Yes, they do have souls. Danielle, what do you think?
I think that in my world, I don't meet people who say that anymore. Do you,
Okay.
James?
Yeah, I've been asked that quite a bit, so I do get that. But yes, from my experience, they certainly do.
I get the question as well, but usually from people who are like, what are these crazy people thinking? Do animals have souls? And I totally agree. Animals have souls. They have an afterlife. They have a birth plan. They help us evolve. Like, there is a lot to an animal soul, and a lot that I think a lot of people don't even realize as well.
And Danielle, if I could just jump in here with Liz and you, for me, it's really interesting because as I get older, and now I'm in my 60s, I've been doing this many 40 years, whatever. But as I get older and you look back and things change and things have shifted, the consciousness has shifted. It's interesting how humans, and I think humans are evolving somewhat, but sometimes you get those questions so limiting and I call them human questions. And that kind of falls into that category that we think in limitations instead of expansion. As a soul, this is just a part of our soul, but much more. 20% of the soul's here, 80% is outside the unseen areas, if you will, the field. So to me, it falls under the human question, but without a doubt, they have energy, they have souls.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A lot of animal lovers have noticed, and I'm sure you have, James, a lot of people notice that it feels like your pet can read your mind. Well, can we read our pet's mind? Does everybody have the ability to get psychically tuned into their pets?
I'm
Danielle?
raising my hand for that one. Animal
Danielle?
communicator here. So, yeah, it's absolutely possible to read your pet's mind, but that sounds so hokey. So animals are always sending out intuitive information. That's how they connect with one another. We humans have the ability to tap into that. Often we don't realize that we are tapping into it. We just think we know our animals really well, but it is possible to, just like in all of James's classes and Mind James World, to train ourselves to pick up that information, to receive that information, and receive that information accurately.
Yeah. Very, very true. I agree. I totally agree. I mean, it's just, again, if we look at it, it's just energy, and really, everybody can be telepathic, not only to animals, but everybody. If you open yourself up and you tune to that frequency of that person. I mean, how many of us have thought of someone, and 5 minutes later the phone rings and it's them? Or it happens all the time. Happened to me 3 times today. It happens the moment you open up yourself to that level of awareness. And with the animals, I find with the dogs and cats and other animals, that they're always in this open space, and we tune into their energy, tune into that vibration. We can hear and feel things. I don't know about you, Danielle, but I not only telepathically do I sense the animal sending, but behind it, like in my communication with humans as well, when they send me telepathically information, I'm talking about a living pet here, they also send like an emotion behind it or personality. Do you have that experience?
Oh, yeah. In fact, they'll send a visual or a sound or an idea. But if you can hold on for a second, there will be a physical feeling or an emotion attached with that that gives even more information, and it makes like the idea or the information even more important or easier to understand with that emotion. Yeah,
And
that
if it
happened to you too, James.
Yeah, yeah, and once you get that signal going, that connection, then they know where to go, and you know what you how to receive it. I mean, now I'm with my dog Pearl, and she'll just look up at me and say, "Okay, you want to go outside? I got it." Oh, or okay, you want a drink of water? I just know that. It's almost like they're training us, right? So yeah, but
They
telepathic.
do. They train us. They train us. We don't know they're doing it telepathically, but they do train us. Yeah.
But I always think they're beyond the humans anyway. I think animals are so beyond human beings. I mean, unconditional love right there, you know.
I always say that animals have mastered unconditional love. And so all my information I get from the animals, which means it could be slightly skewed. But in my point of view, animals have mastered unconditional love and we haven't. And they're here to help us learn unconditional love because we seem to be struggling with it.
True. So it's very true.
This is an interesting question that came through, and I never really thought about it. How do animals feel about being pets?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. That's a good
It
one.
is.
Danielle, do you want to start off that one?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. These are great questions.
Great
They are great
question.
questions.
How do animals feel about being pets? So my belief from working with the animals again and again is that animals are incarnating here to help us humans grow and evolve. Some animals will choose to be pets because it allows them to have a connection with humans that is a closer, deeper connection. And through that closer, deeper connection, they're going to have more of an opportunity to help us grow and evolve. If you think about it, how often do we do things for ourselves because they're good for ourselves? Like, how often are we like, I'm going to go for more walks, and then we just do it? But when we find out that our beloved pet needs more walks, what do? We give them more walks, and it benefits us as well.
Yeah. You know, it goes to that whole thing about animals being pets. It's really dogs being pets, cats being pets. On some way, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I feel like this is more in the area of being accurate that I believe that we connect with them on some level before we come back into this incarnation, that we're aware of that soul, or it could be a group part of our group soul. And I'm just aware of that, it doesn't just happen. I mean, sometimes you think, well, you got a pet store, you get a dog, you rescue an animal, a cat or whatever. I have a feeling you might know them. There's an affinity or connection there. And based on my experience with my animals, we can say, well, you become aware of them, you love them. I don't know. In a deeper meaning, I feel like I'm connected with them from before I came back in the incarnation. There was agreement that they'll take that role as pet, if you will, to teach various lessons to us. And then it's really our opportunity to give love freely, to learn patience. I know my dogs are patience and discernment and many, many things. And one of my pets, Maisie May, who I had, my little doggie for a long time, 12 years. And when she passed, I remember I was not grieving. And I was like, why aren't I grieving about Maisie? And then I realized, and I don't think maybe she told me, I don't know, but I realized that, wow, I lived every single moment with her. I lived the fullness of that each moment. So I had nothing to grieve about because, of course, I know she's around. I've seen her there. But I feel that way. And I think, what do you think about that, Danielle, that if you live the full moment with your animals, that you won't grieve, you don't need to?
So it's actually something I deal with a lot because I meet a lot of people who are grieving, and they're grieving the loss of their pet because they have regrets. They think they didn't do enough, or they think they weren't with them or enough, or didn't try hard enough at the end, or it's so much about regret. So often pet loss grief is about regret rather than missing, and guilt rather than missing. So those emotions kind of get overlapping one another, and it makes it so much more difficult to experience that pet loss. My sense of it from connecting with animals about the beginning part that you mentioned, which is I feel like we were kind of supposed to be together, from what the animals tell me, yeah, there is a definite connection before incarnation when the human soul and the animal soul are like, hey, we're going to get together in this lifetime. Let's work together. So I couldn't agree more. And I feel like you're very accurate because I agree with you.
Yeah.
But this whole thing is meant to help us grow. And what is one way that humans need to grow? We need to grow by being in the present moment.
Hmm.
So often the challenges we're having with our pets are the fix to that is actually be here, be now, do what's right in this moment. So it's really cool that I know you kind of come from a little bit different angle on this stuff than me, but it's cool to see how it overlaps.
Yeah. Well, love is love is love is love.
Right.
It's animal, human, love is love. It's, I think so many times that I think there's a divine plan. I think again, as humans, we're so limited in our awareness, if you will, that I think, we talk about coincidence. Well, coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. I think there's a divine thread in everything. I think there's a plan in everything. Just like we have the change of the seasons, we have, daylight to nighttime. Everything changes. I mean, what's doing that? So there's an intelligence there behind that we humans want to try to control or understand, but we won't, not on this level. But there's so much affected there, that divine, I call it the divine plan because I don't know what else to call that. But I think everything is kind of measured and destined. Humans can get in the way of their free will, of course. But I think for the most part, things are destined to happen. And if we open ourselves up to, if I understand intuition, for instance, then you'll know what the right choice is for your soul, for yourself. Anyway, but that's going off of something else, but it all ties
No,
in.
no, no. Wait, I want to say a little more about that because
Okay.
if we open ourselves up to the idea that the divine comes through the animals in our lives, then it means that everything that happens with them, everything we experience with them, whether it's amazing and full of love, or it's challenging, or it's upsetting, is all part of divine consciousness, all part of the divine plan. And there's something for us to learn from in there as we make our way toward mastering unconditional love. So I really couldn't agree with what you're saying more.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true.
And I think that's something this course is going to provide people, is a new perspective on losing your pet, on the lessons your pet has to teach you. And I think people are going to get a lot more out of this course than they might expect.
Totally.
It's more than just reading your pet's body language. Do you want to talk a little bit more about some of the things you do want to cover? And not only that, what types of pet owners and people will benefit from this course?
Danielle,
Aha!
I'll let you go first.
So one of the things that we're going to cover is this idea about how animals are these beings full of unconditional love and what they're really doing for us, and how that actual process works in our everyday lives. I think a lot of people question their love for their pet. How can I love someone this much? Or do they love me why is this connection this big? How can my heart be walking around on 4 legs every day? And what does that say about me? And I'm vulnerable. Am I vulnerable by having love this big? So there's that real connection that we're going to talk about. And then how that connection actually evolves over time through the lifetime of the relationship, from beginning to the learning the lesson to actually the end of the relationship, and whether or not it's really the end. That's a big piece as well, because I think James and I both feel like it's not really the end, just so you know. You want to pick it up from there, James?
Well, there's something I would like to mention in the course also, which I think is really fascinatingly interesting, because I deal with it to a point, but you've dealt with it even further. What do animals do on the other side when they're in the spirit world? So you want to talk a little, because we're going to be covering that, but that's going to be your specialty there to talk about that, if you want to go on with that. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's fascinating.
Big questions people have. What is my animal doing over there on the other? What are they doing? What does it look like? What do they do during their, I'm using quote fingers, day?
Right.
Like what's happening and how do they feel about it over there? And how do they feel about us over here? I've done so many animal communication readings with people around this who are just like, my pet's gone, and they're not realizing that their pet really isn't gone, or what their pet's intentions for them are. I think that it's more popular to think of humans on the other side. It's a phrase I don't say, but we're kind of more used to thinking about humans being over there and sending messages. there's a lot of information about it, but you're laughing. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
No, I'm not laughing. I think it's great because I think it's just so true. And it's so like, I know from my other dog that passed over that just a quick story, and then we'll get more to it during the course. But Maisie, when she passed over, I said, can you help me send me someone who would be good for me? And she said, I'll go. And she used to stay in my office where I am right now on the floor like she used to when she was in the body. But I'd see her in the spirit form just laying right back. And then I remember I was the following May, I was going out to get some puppies or a puppy from a new doggy through a friend of mine. It's a whole weird story I'll talk about in the course, how it all happened synchronistically. But I knew that when I had two puppies, and I hadn't seen her for a while, and I was wondering what was going on. I look frozen. Do I look frozen?
No, you're good.
Okay, good.
Nothing's frozen.
Okay. So what happened was I would see Maisie, my dog, all the time, and I said then I hadn't seen her for quite a while, for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I was driving back from Palm Springs, and I remember on the windshield of the car I see Maisie, and she comes in and she looks exhausted, and I said, Maisie, I haven't seen you telepathically. Maisie, I haven't seen you. Where have you been? Where have you been? And she gave me the thought, I've been with the puppies. I've been training them for them to come to you. And I swear, and now I gave one puppy away to a little boy who needed it, but I have Pearl here. And I swear, it's so weird because people say, she reminds me so much of Maisie. She has like a Maisie part of her. And I said, well, she does. And again, we're going to cover in the course how our souls, part of the soul, is not just limited there. The soul of your loved one animal can be part of another animal. Why couldn't it be? It's, don't limit it. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But I found that fascinating. I'll go more into it during the course and talk.
No, you're getting me all excited because you're literally talking about one of the coolest things. We were like, why is my pet acting like my past pet? And what's happening here? And how did my new dog run in and know exactly where the bed was? And yeah, we're totally going to talk about that in the course.
And also, Danielle, I'm going to talk about, we're going to cover, which I think really important, is grieving for the healthy way of grieving for pet. Healthy way of grieving. And I wrote a book years and years ago called Healing Grief. And in there I covered a couple of chapters about healing with your animals, how to grieve properly with the animals. And so we're going to cover that as well.
And how to, what to do with the relationship once your pet passes. So even there's grieving, and then there's like, now what? Now what do I do? Now what can I do? And I feel like that's a really important piece because most people think that there's nothing you can do. They think it's just done. I think those are, we're also going to cover, I can't believe I forgot this, how to find the lesson that your pet is teaching you, because all of our pets are teaching us lessons. So we're going to go over the step-by-step process so you can know why this is happening. What else are we going to cover, James?
We're going to, of course, telepathically connecting with your animal. Communication.
Reading. Forgot.
Yeah. And, I just thought we're going to be on the floor and all fours like barking or going meow meow during the course. And I'm like, well, but I've done it with, I probably you have too, reptiles and lizards, and I've talked to them as well, and it's weird. I'll go to pet stores sometimes. I know it sounds really bizarre, which is great, and I'll stand in front of the case or the cage, and I'll just communicate, and all of a sudden the lizard will look at me. And I've done it with horses before as well. The horses are much easier, of course, but I live in a horse area, and there's a stable down at the end of the block here, and I've literally gone there, and it was in the animal course before this, everyone will see that, where I said, watch what happens on the camera, and I asked the horse to come by, and the horse comes over. Liz, you might remember this. The horse came over. Remember that? And stood on my shoulder, put its nose on my shoulder.
Beautiful horse.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do. I'll never forget that because the connection was immediate. The horse came right over. Yeah. Something else that I know people are going to want to, I know everybody's wondering is, will there be opportunities to get readings from both of you from you as well as learning how to connect with your pet? Will there be some time on these calls where you'll do readings of pets, and what does that take? Do they need to bring their physical pet or a photograph, or how does all of that work?
They do not need to bring their physical pet, and their physical pet does not even need to be with them, which is good to know because a lot of people will be trying to corral their pets into the room during the webinar. And no, that's too much work. We don't need to do it that way. And no picture. Actually, James, we don't want pictures. We don't need pictures.
I don't need a picture. I'll just get the animal tune in that way. That's just tuning into the frequency of the animal.
So
Yes.
yeah, we'll do readings and
We'll do a
we'll
lot of readings,
take
actually. A
questions.
lot of readings will be done. As you can
Yeah.
tell, Danielle and I have a lot of energy. So we'll be doing as many readings as we can with the animals and also questions about the animals. Like, if there's situations or problems with the animal that you want to find out what the animal's thinking or what's going on with that animal, that'll be available as well. Every morning I go to the dog park. It's my life now. And it's great. It's great in so many levels because I tune into all the different personalities of the dogs. And then I match up the dogs with the person. And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, it's so funny. But yeah, so we'll be doing a lot of the conditions and situations that the pet owners want to know about from their animal or what their animal's trying to tell them.
So I think to recap, what people will get from this course is lots and lots of perspective, because there are actually going to be about 9 pre-recorded on-demand lessons that they can watch at any time with all kinds of different pet experts, including Samantha Curry and other people that you've worked with. All kinds of interesting stories and insights and teachings. And then the 4 live calls with James and Danielle, the interactive portion of this event. We talked about the dates already. And you can go to the sales page for all of that information. But it'll be fun to wrap up with a Q&A. There'll be a 2-hour Q&A call where you'll also be doing pet readings. And that's, again, going to be sprinkled throughout the course. But
We're
this
also
is
going to
really
do readings. James and I talked about this where we link together. So
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah.
which is
Well, you
kind of
can't keep both of
cool.
us quiet, at the same time. It's amazing. But yeah, I think we'll dovetail with each other, and I think
Yeah.
I love doing that.
I
It's
do
really
too. That's why I wanted to mention it, because it's so fun. It actually raises the energy and more information comes in and deeper. It's just super cool. Yeah. So sorry to interrupt you, but it's cool.
No, interrupt away.
Okay.
And also you'll have some tips and some ideas for people who want to read their own pets and want to read other people's pets, even potentially start a side business as a pet communicator like yourself. Next steps for, this will be the beginning, and then there'll be next steps for that. Anything you want to say about that?
Is me the you that you're talking to?
You're the you.
Okay. Yeah, I think that when people start to realize that it's possible for them, their head opens up to the possibilities of what they can do with it. So seeing people doing it and then learning about how this is working, what's really happening with the energy, I have found has typically been one of the steps that a lot of my students have taken to go on to start a business and get certified and everything. So this would be a great first step to go, hey, does this even make my heart feel really excited? And most likely it will. And it's a good first step to keep going through.
And
So if you
I just
love-
got to hit on something. Excuse me, Danielle. I just got to hit on something which I'm going to throw at you guys because it just came into my head. So,
Uh-oh.
and maybe one thing we'll cover as well, which I think is really interesting, and I just got this hit, is how to pick the right pet for you. So if you go to a rescue center, when you go to a pet store, how do you know how to pick out the right pet for you? Isn't that wild? I just got that. Yeah, I'll have to cover that one.
Yeah. I have a whole thing on a whole lot to say on that one, James. So that's awesome.
Right. Good.
I'm writing that down.
Right?
saw
That's a
you.
good one. That's a good one. Thank you.
So bottom line, if you love your pet, if you don't have a pet, but you'd like to have one, if you've lost a pet, if you want to be a pet communicator, whatever of those things apply to you, if you can check any of those boxes, you're going to enjoy this course. You're going to learn from this course. You're going to have a good time. And I think we just leave it at that. Any closing remarks?
I would like to mention just synchronistically, I guess, my best friend, Marianne of 40 years, the other day, and she's down at my house, and she lives by herself. She's about 82 years old now, and she lives by herself there. And the other day, well, about a month ago, she goes, I'm going to go get a cat. And I said, you're going to get a cat? She goes, it's going to be strange because I want to walk the cat in a leash. But so yesterday, she texted me, she goes, I'm now a mother. And she showed me a picture of a little kind of an 8-month-old kitten. And it was beautiful. And she said, I have a Velcro cat, which means, or a Velcro dog too, people use, that sticks to you, it stays with you. And this little kitty of 8 months will not leave her alone. And I said, what's its name? She goes, Birdie. And I said, why Birdie? She goes, that's my grandma's name. So it's interesting, but it just happened yesterday. So this is like perfect that we're doing this and perfect for everybody to watch it and take part of this course.
Pets can be so healing. I mean, the energy of pets is so healing for us. And by understanding our pets better, we can heal them, and we can know we can give them a better experience on Earth too. So what I'd like to
How
do
do we
now.
find out, Liz, about the course? Like, where do people
Yes.
go and register and all that? I think you're gonna probably
So,
ask.
we will be, keep your, if you saw the emails about this webinar and you received this, you'll be getting additional emails about Spiritual Animal Friends. And the Spiritual Animal Friends course will be launching in November. Go to the JVP School of Mystical Arts and just click on Spiritual Animal Friends. You'll see every bit of information you could possibly want. And you'll learn about the pricing and the dates and, if this course is for you. So just go to the JVP School of Mystical Arts, Spiritual Animal Friends to learn more. We hope to see you there.
Thank you. Thank you, Liz. Thanks, Danielle. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, James.